The late evening settled over the floating night market, a slow, quiet hum replacing the day's bustle. Lanterns swayed on the dark water, their golden reflections trembling like captured stars. Arun, a vendor who sold grilled fish from his small boat, was preparing to close for the night. He scrubbed his grill, the rhythmic scraping echoing in the stillness. As he worked, he noticed something strange, tiny ripples forming just beneath the pier. But the air was completely still, and the water was as smooth as glass. Suddenly, a soft voice cut through the silence. "Sir, can you help me find my mother?" Arun turned. A small girl stood beside his boat, no older than 7 or 8. She was soaked from head to toe, water dripping from the ends of her dark hair, forming a silent pool at her feet. He felt a pang of concern and knelt down to her level. "Of course, where is your mother?" he asked gently, his voice soft. The girl simply pointed toward the darkest, most remote part of the river, where the lantern light couldn't reach. "She was there," she whispered. "I can't find her." Arun reached out and took her hand, intending to lead her to the market guards. Her skin was ice gold, a chilling dampness that seemed to seep into his own bones. Something about her stillness, her vacant expression, felt deeply wrong. But compassion won out over his growing unease. He had to help this lost child. Leading her along the wooden walkways, he began asking the other vendors who were packing up, "Have you seen this girl's mother?" One by one, they shook their heads, their faces showing only tired confusion. But when he approached an elderly woman selling flower garlands, she stopped, her wrinkled hands freezing in midair. Her eyes widened in pure terror. "That girl," she whispered, her voice a dry rasp. "She drowned in that river years ago." Arun let out a nervous laugh, trying to dismiss it as an old woman's spooky tale. "You must be mistaken," he said, but the woman's voice trembled as she continued. "She appears every few nights, dripping wet, calling the name of the one she chooses." A cold dread trickled down Arun's spine. "Chooses? For what?" he asked, his own voice barely a whisper. The old woman just shook her head, turning away and refusing to say another word. His heart pounding, Arun returned to his stall. The girl was still there, waiting. She stood silently, her dark eyes fixed on him, the water at her feet leaving no ripples on the wooden planks. "Did you find her?" she asked, her voice unchanged. Arun swallowed hard, the lump in his throat making it difficult to speak. Maybe you should stay here. The guards will be here soon." The girl slowly shook her head. "You promise to help me." Her small fingers suddenly clamped around his wrist. The grip was shockingly cold, heavy, and impossibly strong for a child. She began to guide him away from his boat, toward the far end of the market where the lights no longer reached. The wooden planks groaned under their weight. The water beside them grew darker, deeper, quieter. "Where are we going?" Arun asked, his breath catching in his chest. "To where I went," she replied softly, her voice flat and hollow. She stopped at the very edge of the final platform where the market met the true darkness of the river. "She's here," the girl whispered. As she spoke, the black water below began to churn violently. Something pale and white rose from the depths. First, a hand, its fingers limp and bloated. Then a face, eyes wide open, lifeless, swaying with the unseen current. Long black hair floated around her head like a crown of seaweed. Arun stumbled backward, a strangled gasp escaping his lips. The little girl turned to face him. Her expression was no longer vacant. It was filled with an ancient sorrow. As she spoke, water began to spill from her mouth in a steady, endless stream. "You were the last person who saw me alive." The memory hit Arun like a physical blow. Years ago, a busy day, he was hurrying to deliver an order. He remembered seeing a little girl crying by the river's edge, all alone. He had hesitated for just a moment, but he was in a hurry. He had turned away and kept walking. "I called for you then," she said, her eyes hollow voids. "I'm calling for you again." Before Arun could even scream, the dead mother's hand shot out of the water, grabbing his ankle with bone-breaking force. The little girl gave him a small, sad smile. "You won't leave me this time." He was pulled beneath the surface. The world became a maelstrom of cold, dark water. The lantern lights above blurred into fading, distant stars. The last thing he heard was the girl's voice, echoing not in the air, but through the water all around him. "Thank you for coming back for me." By morning, Arun's store was found abandoned, his boat bobbing gently by the pier. The other vendors whispered about the screams they thought they heard, but by midday everyone went about their business, pretending nothing had happened. As night fell again, the lanterns flickered to life, casting their golden glow over the quiet river, and on a lonely pier at the edge of the market, a small, dripping child appeared once more, her dark hair clinging to her pale face. "Sir, can you help me find my mother?" And that is the haunting tale of the night market child. A story that reminds us that some spirits don't linger for revenge. They linger because they were never found, never heard, never saved. If you ever find yourself wandering through a floating night market in Thailand and you hear soft, wet footsteps echoing on the pier behind you, or perhaps you catch a glimpse of a small child standing all alone, dripping water onto the old wooden boards, remember this story. Look closely. Listen carefully, but perhaps don't get too close, because some cries for help don't come from the living. They come from the depths, from a place of eternal longing. Thank you for listening to this tale. If you enjoyed this story and want more chills, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had a similar experience. Until next time, stay safe.